Alright, so sword and buckler, and as the former lesson was saber according to Richard Burton, I have not written any kind of source on this because in this case I am the source and it's based on my, I don't know how many sword and buckler matches it is, but at least in kinds of HEMA tournaments, I saw HEMA ratings that had 1,200 matches registered now, so it's what it is based on. So, any sword will basically do any one-handed sword. So if you have a side sword, then fine. Maybe try to find someone with a length that is similar to yours in terms of swords, at least. But we are going to start out with the buckler, which I hope you have at least an average size. And I actually hate those plastic bucklers, but they will be excellent to prove some points. Because if you don't use them correctly, they tend to be quite shitty. But if you use them correctly, they can actually work. Because something I see people do is holding the buckler and using it wrong. So that's going to be absolutely first thing we are going to start. So, Alexander comes up here. So, the buckler, how do most people hold it? Basically hammer grip, maybe forward. And what happens is, when you bring the buckler forward to parry, so if Alexander cuts from his right to my left with a strong cut against my outside there, strong cut. So the buckler rotates. So if you actually would try to hit my elbow there, it will just go straight through because the buckler will turn and it might hit my elbow. Same will go if you don't have a helmet on me, but he will go on top, he will cut, the buckler tends to go do it like this. If you push thrusts, center torso, not the buckler, but center torso. So I have a hard time stopping it because it will rotate. So cut outside of my elbow again. Did you feel the difference?
Yes, the big difference.
I actually tilt my buckler 45 degrees forward. So what happened now, I don't put any pressure, I don't get the revolving door effect because I turn the buckler basically as I would have a parrying dagger. So you cut me on the outside, parrying dagger. But I use the buckler that way. See, strong cut from above, doesn't rotate. Thrust in the middle, doesn't rotate. Even if you thrust straight in the middle, and once again. See, I almost catch it. I catch the sword with plastic buckler. Bring your point forward. So if I can go, wait a minute. Sword slides off plastic buckler, that's what we've been taught. Sword slides off. No, if you tilt it 45 degrees, it actually starts to catch, but it doesn't rotate. You can, with these bucklers you can see, because you got basically the traffic lights here. The 2 screws. So Alexander knows now he can thrust through because I have not angled my buckler, so he can thrust straight through. Now he has a hard time. Now he can't cut like this. See, it deflects outwards, not inwards. So all times with the buckler when engaging, and here you basically have the same stance we had in the saber. Start out here, protecting your hand. Engaging distance. He strikes or I go forward. Arm goes up towards his weapon shoulder. And see now how I angle the buckler? 45 degrees forward basically. I'm not worried about the top side of my hand. It basically never happens. It's much more important to cover. So an attack comes from above or straight on. You cut. Doesn't rotate. I stop it here. Also, now it comes, even you see that difference there? I actually push the sword. I parry earlier because I'm pushing everything forward. And I lessen the stress on my wrist and my thumb. Because if I bring up my thumb and he hits my buckler here, it's going to press on my thumb. And I even damage my thumb once because I'm keeping my thumb up. But come here. See now if he cuts here, see how he just basically the force. If I bring down once again, see that buckler just goes down in my hand. So the force goes into my hand instead of being on my thumb or wrist. So you kind of a lot more force can use the parry with it. And this is going to be basically be the first exercise, power cuts, and be safe behind your buckler. And all parries are going to go against the weapon shoulder. Because that's all the attacks is going to come from there. Doesn't matter if you have seen any bare knuckle fighting, it's the same thing. He throws a right haymaker. That's the same thing, but you have a buckler. This is why they stand like this in the old boxing. Stop the attack there. It's going to be exactly the same with the buckler. Doesn't matter. So as that comes, doesn't matter which foot I am forward, but I'm bringing it all the time. And you know what? Remember we're talking about using the wrist. I don't chase the sword. I just use the angle. So if I'm locked, I don't see him. I use my wrist. I don't lower my buckler to see something. I just tilt my wrist. Tilt my wrist, tilt my wrist. Never chase here. He cuts low. Left the line and just hold out the buckler so you're covered behind. Do not try to go here because he will just cut you in the head instead. So first exercise. I would like you to have some kind of elbows because they are going to try to power cut through to hit your elbow. And probably need some mask in case this collapses on top of your head. Because I want you to be safe behind your buckler. The one person doesn't need a sword, but I still think you should have a sword just to show the point. Then you can be able to parry and cover the line. And also because he wants to, so he's able to, oh, I can thrust in between here. And you know, okay, this is weak, but if I actually have like this, it's much harder and it deflects outwards. So that's going to be the first exercise. I want you to do the three primaries for this, which is the outside of the buckler, so I'm heading towards your hand. Yep. This is fixed now, I can't control this. And then rotate. Top attack, going for the head. So we can even go across the board. And then the thrusts, where, yeah. He doesn't even tilt it now, he just pushes it forward and it goes like this, downwards. Which means you can suck in your stomach. Having it just straight, means the rocker. Dangerous. And rotate it, this is going to go down. And remember, we have a decent saber, this is a bad position. So those three, I want you to practice just bring out the buckler and basically start from here, boom, go up almost like counter punch. This target is the weapon shoulder, all times. If you don't know where it should go, weapon shoulder, always. Alright, find one of equivalent length, at least in swords. What differences are you noticing?
It's a lot easier to just stand force.
And as an attacker, do you notice anything different?
Yeah, you're solid.
So, because I'm used to when you are the attacker and I attack and the ties with the buckler drops through. Okay, now it was stuck on this plastic bit, but this is extended. But in this case, when he angles it 45 degrees, I stop instead of just landing somewhere over there. So so which means I have to spend energy now on retracting, and recovering. So this is like one of the foremost lessons, and I have seen this being done earlier with Viking sheets. when they use, because they have such a much larger revolving door. They have like 3 feet, 90 centimeters. So they have not like we have like 15 centimeters, but 45 centimeters or revolving door effect, which means they have to be very careful of how they maneuver and use it to their advantage. Okay, you hit it, but now I can behind it. You can't really do it here. So this is something we will be very mindful of going forward, using the butter at all times being how we position ourselves. And especially when it comes to someone who is left-handed. So when it comes to being someone being left-handed, so he attacks me, where should I place my buckle? Against the angle of attack, which means I probably have to switch my feet. Because this won't work too good. Okay, I can't even go up that high if I want to be. So I probably have to, so sensing someone who's lefty will probably mean you'll be standing a lot more off lead instead. Especially when something happens. I can be like here, something happens. I can go forward, I can go backward, but being otherwise I can't maneuver in the same way. But the concept is still the same, and this goes the angle of attack. His attacks has to originate there from there, unless it's like a manticore or something like that. So it has to come from there. So I can attack, he attacks. I have to maneuver being from here. So that's for lefties, which I now would want you to try. So you will hold 2 lefties, I think. Mats is a lefty. So, but you'll take some turns for you, so you just have to practice and to switch the feet, because that's going to come into the next exercise going on. The next important thing we are going to learn. But the first step is just switching the feet. So one person switched left, and that's hence the attacker. Cuts. You try to just switch your feet either with the blade or just that. Same type, 3 cuts. Going top, thrusting. And now, I would recommend you to thrust, make the thrust go that way. Why? This is the closest target. So, when I switch feet, I'm going to place the target. So that target is going to move, and my natural direction of this arm is going to be that way. So the most natural thing is going to be this. If I can, well, yes, it's going to be better to stay put in the place, because I'm going to be over, but that's much, much harder. It's not natural at all. It's only when the person basically thinks they have to go there, okay. But it's, no, it's a bit special. For this beginning, same 3 cuts, one person switch to left to be able to attack. And you are 80% is going to be still on that side, but someone's going to be to the left, or someone who cuts from that side, and you will have to be able to handle it. Someone either thrusting there or cutting from there. Right? One person switch left, and we'll do the same thing.
Absolut.
So, do not always goes backwards. So if I cut, you can go forward or cut from left. So if I cut, that person can go forward as well. So it gets inside the range or thrust. It's a perfectly reasonable thing, especially to do this, because inside I have a hard time recovering and cutting, and that person's inside range. And this is why? Because we are off lead. So we actually want to get in close in this case. So this is a much better example where it's so much easier to step into the attack to be safe than stepping outside of the attack. All right?
All right, so I stab you after you.
So try both.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you need a little bit
So, we started out with the butler. We talked a little bit about the grip, not that much. But I would say the grip doesn't start to matter as much, because all the force is going to go into your hand instead of, or onto your arm, buckle edge, instead of into your thumb and grip. I usually put the thumb up 3/4, something like that. I never put it up completely straight. I don't hammer fist either. So basically I'll have it like a saber grip sometimes. It's called 3/4 grip. All right, sword position. I have found that one of the fastest positions is when I hold the sword actually like this. Some people will, you will be blocked. And I say, has never happened. So, because I know when I'm going to attack, so I can thrust through this, it's not a problem. I feel this is weaker and exposes me a lot more. So if I bring Joachim over here. So when I'm standing like this, especially if I'm on the outside of the sword, do you remember what we did like here in Saber? We just hit straight down, right? Because now my hand is very exposed. So he can go to the closest target and attack my wrist. If I just do this, and he now goes for my hand, it's one wrist motion. And I don't want to need to do that, because I'm already protected. So my hand is protected by having here. So as long as I'm not up to the farthest when I expose my thumb, but a bit further down on the sword. And I usually prefer to hold the sword, which some people call a Viking grip, because some of the Viking swords have very short grips, which means, I'll take off my gloves so we can see easier. This goes onto the pommel, and this grip. So with no big gloves, this becomes very exaggerated, but with bigger gloves, it will be like having almost one thumb from the grip, which means I'm going to be much more protected. I'm going to be much more maneuverable in the things I can do. I'm going to have a lot more extension, not just based on that I'm further down on the sword, but because I can protrude the sword in a better angle instead of having a hammer grip where I don't extend as far. So, basic sword grip from basic buckler grip is going to be the one. Basically guard behind the buckler. This protects the inside of a hand. I can be right relaxed. This protects the outside of the hand. You see now it's not, I'm holding one finger on the pommel. It's not too much of a gap here. Thumb is protected, this is protected. And even if you would thrust now, in the center here, and try to expose this on the buckler, this brings bracing as well, if I would need it. Sword point, and this is why I want you to wear masks and perhaps throat guards. I want you to aim this one along the face to the nose, or what I call sniper's triangle, from nose down to shoulders. Because how much of my blade do you see now?
Very little.
Very little. So a lot of thrusts and attacks that's going to come from here is going to go without much tell, but can't see much. For some reason, this doesn't work as well because I don't get the same leverage against the blade. Here I get much more leverage. I'm much stronger as well. Hitting sniper's triangle in tournaments, because I base this tournament fencing, because if I aim further up, this will happen. I skid off. If I aim hit here, oh, I skid down here and get stuck here, and the judges will see it. Same goes here. Downward, say down to the shoulders, seams. This is all the areas that is counted as upper openings, and it will stick. Also, if I aim here and he tries to duck under, it's probably still going to hit his face or head. So never basically go the eyes, mouth and nose. Might feel a bit disgusting, but yeah, that's it's because also if he aims it towards me now, look at if he puts the sword here and I try to rotate my head, I mean it's still pretty much there. If it aims here, I can more likely to duck away from it. So all thrusts are to be aimed here. Second thing when having this, is the ability to bypass the buckler and take control over here. So that is going to be our next step, that we are going to take control in that situation, going past the buckler, and we're going to do it in two ways. First of all is the basic thrust that we just showed. Just taking control, passing up here, and we're going to do the same thing with our weapon hand that we did with our buckler hand. Hand towards weapon's shoulder. I don't matter where you point this, that's still going to be here, but hand towards the weapon shoulder, because now it becomes parry and thrust, and we bypass the buckler basically. If he goes forward to parry this with his buckler, it's still quite likely I can go past it. And this is why I also want you to hold a bit further out, because if I have my grip, I might not be able to create the angles. If I hold further down, I can now suddenly go into angles. And the same as the saber wrist motion. The more up I go, the more important it is to get the wrist motion. I want you to basically go vertical, because what happens if you go vertical? I lock his blade. Yes, all and good. Better. He's locked, he has to back out, he can't slip. Here, he can slip. Not so much slip, because he's a bit locked, he has to retreat. If he gets to retreat, I get to retreat as well. That's going to be the first one, and it's one of the most important ones. So now Joachim does a center thrust, and for you who was not here, do you know, remember the node? So you know where to place your blade, and for you that wasn't here, Joachim hits his sword. Where is your node? So node is over there, which means he wants to hit here, because that's where he will the maximum energy transfer. It works both ways. So me connecting here, on the node, on the node, on the node, on the node, still on the node, because here I can control him the most all the time. I want to be on the node all the way to the hit. As soon as I get here, okay, now he can control me because I'm no longer the node. Here I can control him. Blade connection, always on the node as much as possible, all the way. Even here, I'm still on the node. I have maximum control of his blade. He has a hard time slipping. I have a great control of him. That's where you want to bring up your line. So that's what's gonna train to almost perfection. And what happens with this? Well, you remember we told you about going 45 degrees forward? Oh no, control as well. Why 45 degrees forward? Move your sword. He has to back out, because this plastic that we should slip doesn't slip anymore, because we have created almost like a pit. So this is going to go, and we're going to do more stuff with control from here. So go up there. If you don't get total control, that's fine, but have it and angle it 45 degrees and get the thrust in there. And this works a lot of times, which means we're going to focus quite heavily on it. Okay?
What does the defender do?
What the defender do is, what would you usually do when a thrust comes in? You go out to parry with the buckler, right? So if you can go past it, yeah. So create a motion where you feel like, oh, a simple thrust we would usually do is straight on, almost like voiding the blade, trying to pass, or having like a caveman here, but this means my line is open, so he can counter thrust and he can easily parry with the buckler. So you can basically do the dumb parry for them to show, because it's going to force you to take control of the blade and go on that side. I mean, the target area is still the same as a dumb thrust, just straight over. I actually don't call it thrust, because it's not thrust, it's a shank. It's a prison shank. This is a proper thrust. This would be a proper thrust. This is a shank. Okay? Good. Let's go. So, next one is how do we on the outside. So because it could be a thing that he actually managed to defend well against this. So the person might not just use the buckler to bring up the block, but actually do the same thing. So I do this, he does the same thing, which means I'm now, because he brought his point forward, which means he brings the point forward, I end up in a strong, he can control me. So we can, if we feint that or actually begin on the outside, doesn't really matter, because we can now begin on the outside, so we take control and do this, and it's the same thing, try to lock him and get that. And it can be by feinting the first one, so he pushes me up there, I do this. It works surprisingly well. Or if I just start by being on the outside, and go here, and you see the lock here. So all of these wrist movements, and like I said, people have a little bit heavier gloves. Move your hand down. Move your hand down so you almost grip around the pommel. At least like one finger on the pommel. That's going to be easier for the maneuvering of the sword and getting the vertical alignments. This is a shank. This starts to be a thrust. So the outside, yet again, I go up. I am here, still same target area. This can now actually do some acting, but not much. The upside line is covered by my sword, the lower line is covered by my buckler. If I go down like this, I cannot do anything, but up here I can actually do some stuff. And surprise, against a lefty, it's the same thing. Because now it's inside, here's the buckler, so I want to go outside. Here's the angle of attack on this, so I'm gonna cover it. Oh, so it's the same thing. Doing it. So it doesn't matter if you're a lefty or on the outside, you want to be away from the buckler, towards the weapon shoulder, take control, angle up. So even though I have the weak here, the side of the back side, but I angle it to get strong and go in. Say against a lefty, or if you do it on the outside, that doesn't gonna matter. But the angle of attack on the outside, yes, because the angle of attack or the line is between our weapon shoulder. I've taken the line, my sword is taking the line, he's on the outside of the line. So weapon line over shoulder to shoulder, weapon shoulder to weapon shoulder. So if I'm on my sword has it and I'm on this side, I'm fairly protected. So same against lefty, being up here, I'm covering up. I'm on this side of the line. My sword is on the line, I'm on this side of the line, I'm safe. And I'm just having my point forward. So against a lefty, and if you don't have a lefty, you take it on the outside and try to bring it forward. Alright, we'll do some of those. I can start with the face. Yeah. So if I want you to start pushing there, because it's going to be easier. Otherwise, I can just start on outside, like fluttering in there, but I go up there instead.
But how do you do the, like, you start with the face,
yeah,
and then you let the blade drop, so yeah, and then,
I just basically relax my hand.
Yeah, that is for,
Alright, pause. A question about the feint. So, a feint, I basically just bring my everything forward, just leading with the arm, no body. And as soon as same thing I talked about the saber, I basically try to cheat the rocks as a paper. I start my movement to see what the other person is going to do. So cheating it, rock, paper, scissors. And when it starts to push my sword, I just relax my wrist and bring it and strain. I don't do much more. If he starts to push, I can just do it. It's just relaxing and let it go. And then go on for the technique. As soon as I start to do this, what does that mean? Well, that means I'm opening my wrist. But if I just relax it and bring it up again, and it's also much faster. So that's if you want to feint going to there, but you can also start directly from the outside. All right.
From the stance, you always have the weapon put forward.
I almost always, like 90-95% time, I have the same lead leg as going on. And I know I talked with Andy Obviously like last weekend, and he does Xavier and also it's number one in both, I don't know. But he also promotes lead leg forward most of the times. Lead leg forward. It's only when I meet someone like sense like in a special way, or the lefty, I might start out with the other leg forward.
Lead leg is your left.
Lead leg is my
The weapon.
the weapon leg. That's my lead leg. And now I'm leading with the off leg. But this is lead. So. Alright. Which is guys, and then we're going to talk about doing that other leg pretty soon. But first of all, I'll take you. So we have talked about this parry, but we also have a lot of sword action, sword parries that we can do. This is a guard that I talked about in Saber, which was called the high third guard, and this is one of the most common guards that we'll be using in sword and buckler, except this one. In Saber it was called third, and this is high third. And there's almost no other guards involved at all. It's basically those two. So, why is this guard good? Well, if he makes a strong cut from above, I can parry it with the buckles and the sword. And if he makes a strong cut from above again, I can parry it with a sword. It's just that it's pretty weak. It's a hanging guard depending on, but here I have a buckler, so where's the weak on my sword now? There is no weak on my sword, right? Because now I have just two strongs in the middle. Some people put it here, but no, put it on top of here. If he has the point forward, you already basically done this. If he attacks me, go forward. Do the same thing. Stepping in or stepping out. What target areas do you have now? Easy accessible target areas.
Chest. Knees. The leg.
We'll come to that, but yeah. If he goes for leg, yeah, okay. Never parry low, that's basically what I'm about. Like basically never parry low, just slip the leg, cut the hand, or something like that. So this is one of the most useful things, especially, you don't know what the fuck is happening. Just back away. I'm like, oh, okay, something's happening, I'm safe. Even if I want to stay put, he attacks me. Works here. Lefty. He attacks me or even rushes. I don't know. Still a strong guard. Attacking. A bit more laid open, but alternative. I don't know what would be the alternative. I don't. This is basically what I have to do. Maybe just stepping out more out because I'm safer. Especially also against, and that's like we talked about earlier. What is the closest target for him here? Anything on here. By moving that, I'm moving that target area away, and quite a lot. Even though I might not be changing the range that much, but I'm still moving the target area this place and taking the line. So I would say like there are two guards in sword and buckler. This guard and that guard. It's the only two guards that you are going to be stationary, that you're going to cut through different guards. Most common guard, this is where you might end up in after doing an action, where you have to decide from what you also want to do. So if he attacks me, okay, what I want to do, I have to decide, should I back away, should I attack? I can even go forward on that as well, as we just did, going on here. So that's a defense, that's an offensive and defensive guard. But we're gonna add something to it, because it's fun. So Alexander, he's in here. Now we're gonna use it offensively, the first one. So I can't even go here. He's going to deflect me outwards now, so to your outside. And you remember how we talked about bringing this forward? Because now we can do something that is in dimension, taking control. And this is right now down by taking the 45 degrees. I get even some control by ending it up in here. Which is like a bit plastic, for real. Yeah, for real. And this is what I'm going for. I can either be stationary if he attacks. I can go forward like this and get the control. And I think I am at an advantage here, I would say. He's open on this side totally, going on depending on there. And I can even do that one from here. The defensive one is not too much to practice at. We're gonna show it. He attacks. I back away. I fight another day. That's basically it. Going for that. You can try to cut and switch legs, attack the hands or whatever.
But there you switch a bit.
Always.
Yes.
I mean,
So when you parry, you switch.
It's also very good for if you. I don't have a mask on this, but be gentle, but still rush me. So if you rush me, so I'm gonna go here and try to defend if you rush me. Why? Two things. If you step into me now, I'm gonna attack. Where's my balance now? It's in that direction. Where's your balance? So if you push me now, I have basically no balance. So I'm gonna be rushed. If I do this parry and when you rush me, okay, I'm much stronger here. I'm much laid open. I can put you under pressure here. I can go and I can do stuff like that. So anything when a person rushes you or charges you, you don't know what's happening. Default, always default. What's happening? They are attacking me. I'm not going to give any easy openings. I'm not going to back away. Okay, switch back or whatever you're going to do. I can still attack from there. I can still thrust from there. Roman style, gladiator style, whatever. I can do a lot of stuff from there. But it's basically, we don't need to practice much going backwards. It will just happen, I promise you. It's just this guard. So we'll practice going forward instead. So, first one is going, grabbing that. Second one is going, stepping in and doing this on the outside. Depends on a bit how they cut. If they cut more on the outside, it's going to, of course, do a lot more like this. Embracing it either on the back or on the arm, it's going to be, I have really no weak, you can't cut through. If it's more from the top side, now I can start doing these things. It's only when it's vertical when I can go in. I can go in for the vertical one if you just bring point forward just. This way you already practiced. But otherwise, go in and take this. And why am I showing both of these? It depends on how the person holds the sword or attacks. If that's what's going to matter. That's why we're not only doing the one, because it ended up a little bit more here. So then we have the variant on the other side. Depends on how you step. So bring those two forward, and if you're uncertain, back away. All right? Try to block this too much in here, because now it's basically a stalemate. We're gonna push, but try to bring it so he comes free. And he's probably gonna drop forward into a forward motion, bringing his head and arm forward to me instead of just going up and blocking it. It's gonna be hard sometimes if you expect it to come up and I think I'll take it, and okay, now this ended up being better than I thought. But just being this is just a total block, and it's basically it becomes a stalemate. Because if you hit me, okay, we both have basically the same action that we can do. So he can switch it in here. I can basically almost do the same. So that's what we wanted to drop it off. Yeah.
Fiddle ball?
Sorry?
Anything called fiddle ball?
fiddle bow. I haven't heard fiddle bow actually, but makes sense.
It's right. Fiolen, tror jag.
Fiolen.
133 calls it fiddle bow.
133, yeah, well, people said it's more, I do more Marosso fencing. I don't know, I do tournament fencing, so it's going to the fiddle bow, going in here. For those who attacks from the left, like this person here, so when you attack, so when you did that large cut, so this makes it like the large cut from here has this opening. If I do this, I'm raising my upper opening and I'm covering my lower opening. There is basically no single easy way for him to cut that. So now we'll just create a block in the box, but I will still have the inside line. And he has the point forward, that makes my work more difficult because he might trust as well. But having this is, I'm pretty defended against this. Someone who shows and doesn't tell. He can try to cut around, but that's a movement, which means I get a movement. Okay, continue. Do a couple more. All right. Get it up. Alexander. All right, we have done no cuts so far, so let's do some cutting. So we're gonna start with cut number 1, the caveman strike, which is Ugg. This is a caveman strike. What's wrong with this caveman strike? He has a sword and buckler, so he brings the sword and buckler up. That's the problem with the caveman strike. I'm gonna caveman strike the same target area.
Cave person.
Huh?
Cave person. Is there a cave woman strike as well?
I hope there is.
Yeah. It's this one.
So
Sorry.
same target area. This is gonna be a target area. Only difference is I'm gonna bring my sword hand down on his weapon shoulder side. So I'm gonna take in the line basically, and what is this? It's a Meisterhaken. So I'm attacking. Here I pass his buckler, I take the control, still same target area, I end up here. Because he has a harder time parrying with the buckler. My sword hand goes basically here, I cut through this. I don't know how many times I've done this in tournaments, all too many. Even if he tries to counter-attack from there, I might end up here. And what is this? This is a Meisterhaken. And like we talked about here earlier on, but why is it Meisterhaken? I think it's a commercial name. They want everybody to be masters, and everybody wants to be a master, so they're going to teach this cuts at the first cut. Because that's the cut number 1A you should do. Not Ugg, but actually. And the only thing is different is the hand placement. I cut here instead of cutting here. Here my line is open. Cut past the buckler. And it doesn't really matter. It said like the thrust here. Okay, wait a minute. Was this a cut or a thrust now? The positioning is basically the same. If I cut down towards it here, or if I thrust towards it here, it doesn't really matter. So that's cut number 1A. Does it work against someone left-handed on the outside line? Okay, let's start with the outside line. So I'm gonna need to cut it from here, because line is over here, so I'm gonna cut undercover. So here it becomes more like a twerk going to her. Because if I just cut from here, you see this, my line is open. So I have to cut on the cover, because then I can also cover the low line with my buckler. If I try to cut up here, can work, but it's usually harder to cut from here, and I can expose myself in different ways. See? Talked about this earlier, so that's why it's usually easier to do this one. The only times I do swooshes or power cuts is actually from left. I'm going to talk more about that earlier, because then I can do, when I do a power swoosh, go here. Oh my god, I ended up in this position. But power cut through. And sometimes you need to go a little bit higher, so we end up a little bit earlier on his node, striking through downwards in. And on the lefty, so that means zwerg. Like I said, it was, from this side was zwerg, so this is going to be a zwerg. So if I'm going to do this, I want to see him on his weak and cutting from here. So it leaves me a little bit open in case I miss, because I can't use my buckler. But that's the one I also don't want to power strike, because if I do a power strike, a HEMA strike, I'm much harder if I do a zwerk. I still have some access, and I can bring it out from there. And this is working in other weapon sets as well. It isn't described in Richard Burton, but I know this hits through parries galore. A lot of times, it's just a problem for the judges to see it, because you hit the sword at the same time, right? So getting that action into line, hitting it, I'm totally fine with you hitting the node and the face at the same time. It's probably even the best thing to do. Right, power strikes, or cut 1A. 3 different starts that you can do. So you can either go cut, basically, or you can go up, cut, or you can actually start from the shoulder going. Doesn't really matter. It's the forward motion that is the same. As soon as you get up here, it's the same. So depending on where you want to almost do like a tapping strike, or a strike from the shoulder, or go up with this. Doesn't matter. You start however you want.
Okay. So, do you want to start? Yeah. So, okay. That's the basic. I'm just getting. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Then, because then I have my. Okay. So you can try to actively defend. I'm coming. Let's go.
The idea was to stay was on the outside, right?
I know I said it would be in 2 exercises, but it will be now. So you can come forward. So, because I got another question about the same thing here. What if someone does a good defense or raises defense very high? So I try to do this, they do a good defense. We're here where I'm gonna teach the rock, paper, scissors, right? So I'm gonna do the high cut and I'm gonna switch over and there. Same motion, but we want it to be truthful. I almost connect or even rotate on the buckler to go there. And look, I'm covered under the line again. Oh, do we recognize this? Yes, we do recognize this, right? So it is going high, feinting, going here. And especially if you're a short person, this could be exceptionally well going up and being cutting from below, being on the cover. So you can do it against the head, you can go it on the arm, the person tries to defend, and you switch sides. It doesn't really needs a nudge, and you can go, especially if you step offline, something like that. And this looks like we have this position, and even the strike ends up being in the guard position, because you're covering yourself. So that's why I say we basically only have the 2 guards that we are going to use for this. So, how does it work against the left here? So, I cut, and they try to make it like a good parry. Well, how is that person going to strike from now? It's probably going to strike somewhere here, I guess. So my counterattack has to be basically similar, cutting here, and doing that. Feinting for a cut. Like this, depending on where the sword goes. If you're doing an exceptional low cut against my abdomen, for that, I'm probably going to need to do this first. And then something else. So it all depends on the switch. Here, okay, now they cut high. Just high cut. And go. So it's just switching the hands, and if you're hammer grip, you will have a much harder time. If you're lower on your grip, this becomes much more easier doing the switch. But you need to have a grip that is further down, so you don't, the rotation doesn't work against you, but the pommel actually bounces in your hand. So you need to have this grip strength. The pommel should not be a counterweight in this case. The pommel, and sometimes it's called a Spanish grip because it's used in distressa, when you almost have like a pistol grip in holding it. So don't hold it necessarily around the pommel, but the pommel should be. See, I'm going to take off my gloves so I can show it better. I'm going to have an open hand and cut. Okay, no thumb grip. I can still cut. You see the pommel just goes like this. I'm not even holding my sword. And it means, what is this? A shuttle, basically. And it works excellently across the queue. It can be used for fast cuts, especially fast, like a defense, because my angle becomes very strange now. So I can go past a lot of buckler angles or dip into the hands. I think it's called sometimes even in German like Stichschlag. You basically fling your tip into a cut, going past. And that's what we want sometimes for these ones, because if you defend against this one, I mean this angle, not a lot of people usually can defend this. How can that person, this is a strange angle, like 90% of the angle of attack is going to be from here. This angle of attack is from my other weapon shoulder. That's coming like this. So that's strange. But the focus now, so don't forget what we're talking about. You parry high, I attack low, or the other side because I fainted. Usually start out with a feint, and then from the left side, the same thing. I start out and switch direction. If you need to move keeping an angle, do it. Alright, those two, and we have 3 more after that, and then we're done. Just with the hand, but preferably I just go. You just need to create a motion to go there. So there are a couple of more, and these I know they work. And for the saber, it says Burton does not recommend this. However, this works great in tournaments. I like this. So he is having a pretty good guard. I have not an easy time getting in here. So even from a cut from above, his guard is a bit in the way here. So how can I bring out this guard? This works with sabers as well, so I don't know why Burton doesn't recommend it. So I can basically do this. I am at an advantage here. So either a rotating cut that goes through, or against the hand, because I don't want to go in, or an impulse, going like that. Just beating the blade and just opening up the wrist, because as I said, this is pretty good guard. So you push my blade or hit my blade. So okay, so now your blade is displaced. So here's a problem, because I can do this. But if you actually do a bate or beat, and where do you want to beat? Where on the sword? The node. Because this is the maximum energy transference. I don't need much. So I can do that going in, but what happens if I'm going on the inside here, you can use like, you almost get forced to cut around. You feel like, okay, you feel it when you go to almost like, cut around. So that you have to be very fast and doing it, and also because I took the line here, I took the Meister cut basically, so that works. But the safer bet is on the outside line. Because now he's in a worse position, he's almost like caught by his own buckler depending on how it ends up. So I can do that, I can do a push cut into the hands. But for now, we're going to practice what we've almost done all the times. Either I go around from here, or I start from here. Most people find it easier to start from here. Because this is a circle motion which needs some saber, breaking the wrist. So from here, I'm just going to go and hit the hand. If he moves forward, back away, hit the hand. And what is good about this, if he brings a lot of movement forward, oh, I recognize this guard again. Like I said, all the big rotational cuts is going to help you get to this guard. Like the other one we did when you defend against this. Like I said, oh, it's going to be hard to defend this, but you're already in motion here. Just continue turning. So a lot of these rotations. That's also why I don't recommend this one, because if you miss, I'm going to get smacked. So all the beats we're going to practice today is from here. Take out the target. Actually, the leg. Take the leg as well. And the same as safer. You just go down. You don't bend forward. Beat the blade to the side with a rotating cut or impulse. It's two different techniques actually, so you need to have the feel for it. If I hit them on the strong, it's not going to do much. If I hit them on the weak, his point doesn't actually fly that far. It's almost like, and he is at a very hard, bring it back online. But here, it's a much harder time. I'm stronger position and everything. There's a little bit of sword magic there for you. You just start from here, break, hit hand. If you don't know what to do, just boom, boom, hand. And if you want to be really safe, hand, back away. Right? But you can experiment for head and there, and impulse or rotate through. And as the question was like, how can people like fall for this? It's because like when I'm doing this, people are like usually quite smart. Like say, this is not going to reach me. This is not dangerous. They can't. Nothing's going to happen here. Nothing. But that's because now the first one is in the one region is the second one. But I don't need to step actually. This is can go so fast. So I don't need to step in. I just need to break open the guard because they feel safe. I can't reach you. No, I can't, not without engaging. So that's why I can do this from here. Because usually people go tap the sword or tap the hand. And even if they parry the low one by bringing down the defense, sometimes go be enough to cut through. And I'm not even moving my feet. That's because the person thinks they're safe at a distance and safe behind their cover. But my primary one is probably going to be from up here. But you need a lot of wrist strength to build up the wrist from here. This is just because people feel safe and lazy and they can go like, or they think, oh, I can parry this, it's not going to reach me. No, but the second one will. It's like a couple more and we'll do the next one. All right, let's do the last bit from this.
Can I ask a question?
Yes. Sorry.
If you start on my outside, on your outside.
On my outside, yeah?
How do you do it?
How do I do it?
Yeah.
Usually I would probably feint for the head,
Yeah.
so you do some kind of, at least in your mind, going upward. And if it's just, now you're such a guard, I can just hit you straight down. So if you don't break the guard from there, but you probably start thinking of it, that's what I'm going to do. Because your mind has already started defending against that. But this is where I say you need such a wrist strength and wrist ability, being so you can go from here and switching the cuts. So, but that takes a lot of wrist motion. But I can keep you, because I think I'm going to do the one that you just told that you'd like to do. So, there's another attack against the high defense. So, if I'm going to attack, so they're going to defend high. So, everybody knows krump, right? Longsword. So, we're going to do a krump from underneath. So, he defends high. That's what I'm doing. Basically, like if I would have the sword here, you bring up your buckler forward, just forward. This is where it goes. However, most people won't fall for that, but they actually feint high and go. And if they're too high, I'll just do a middle half or take the arm, going depending. If you just bring out the buckler just straight forward, I can still do it. Cutting at this angle. Krump. Basically krump, but from below. Cutting from there, under the guard. Lefty. Sorry?
Kurtzau.
Kurtzau, okay.
Instead of Krumpa.
So, lefty, big sword enough forward. Oh my god, it works as well. And the good thing is, lefty, you counter attack. Oh, I'm already in guard. Recognize this one? You counter attack oh, I just abort and just bring this up, and I'm basically already in the guard. Because this is said, this I want to need those two guards, and you can just feint high, cut, bring this up because the counterattack might come in here. I'm a little bit open here, but I'm still more defended, especially if I notice that there's a counterattack coming. I can just abort. So it's because I'm so close to it. So that's a precision cut. So you can do. You want to do those things against the low lines. We have already practiced this, partially in Saber, because oh, wait a minute, it's the same. I defend high, but cut low. I just bend my legs to take the low line. That's it, I keep the guard still high, but I do the same cut. So I'm gonna go, whoop, cut low. Yeah, good. So, but for this, we are just gonna target the outer arm going, and if we do, it's okay to do a big swoosh. Do you know why? Even if I miss, I retreat back into position that I'm very familiar with. All right, so let's do as the second to last thing, and then we're gonna do something very special. All right? Vad ska vi göra nu som sista? Om jag nu lånar Jesper här. Vad är det?
Damas.
Nej, eller jo, tar den för säkerhets skull. Så jag ficklar med svärdet. Så flera gånger ner med att vi provocerar fram en attack. Och mycket if we provoke an attack, we try to control the fight, do what we say, cheating at rock, paper, scissors. So now we're going to combine this to the extreme. So what we actually want to happen now is the person to charge us, rush us, open it anyway, engage us. So it doesn't really matter what kind of defense we do from this. If he attacks me from above, if I go from this, or if I go from this, I'm already using energy going like this. Doesn't really matter. What we're going to do is we're going to continue to use that energy. So he comes onto us. And we're going to go like this. So that is what we are going to do. And that is why you probably need masks, because what you want to do, remember the sniper's triangle, so we want to end up, this is where we preferably want to end up being, but usually you end up here. So here. Have I done this in tournaments?
Yes.
Lots of times.
Yes. It's actually quite common in Olympic fencing also.
Yes, but maybe not so much in sword and buckler like that. So, but this is based on that you're using this energy, you're using this guard, you have control, and then you basically bring it up. It's very hard to be, no, you have to already be in motion, in any way, defending, already going. It works against thrust as well. It's very hard to use it defensively, so I'm going to try to use the person who managed to escape. If I try to bring it forward, you have to chase the person. It doesn't work that way. But just use the rotation, basically step into the attack or stay put. Going like this. The butler is controlled here. That's what brings up the defense. The closer in, you can add the reach, and you can get it up all the way up here. Going. So there's a second one that I think is much more harder to there, and that is if you attack, I'm going to go here and I'm going to stand like this. I also manage to pull off sometimes, but it's much harder to go. And it is in the Paulo Meyer. He does like this, and there's something he does that we're not going to do in competitions or in practice, and that is break his knee. So we're going to avoid it. But this works as well, but not as good as this one. As I say, it's common. It goes around pretty quickly. You know, it's back edge cut. Yeah. So that's going to be the last thing we do to break just some fancy stuff and get to use try to provoke the attack basically, so they come on to you. That's going to be the easiest. Det här funkar nästan ännu bättre mot någon som är vänsterhänt. För att han är ju vänsterhänt, så han attackerar mig. Så blir han kan prata om hela tiden här. Bucklen är ju lite i vägen. Men jag kommer, det här är ju redan ett flashförsvar. Det är redan att man säger stå och fly. Så gör det. Så det är ännu mer naturligt. Framförallt de som är vänsterhänta och försöker flasha in att de springer in och stöter i sjön. Oj! Kommer in där. Så det är till och med lättare.
Nej, du hugger mig i ryggen här.
Snyggt!
Ja, om du stannar upp lite hinner du.
Yes. Min tur. Yes. Movement and lot of energy. Now, I want to go. Just let's do it basically. Yeah, no, that's better. Better. Why did you do it earlier? She did the right thing now. So just basically, just like you would go. Just do not bring it, especially do not bring it down. Just use the energy from here. Okay, bring it in. So that brings us to the conclusion of basics for sword and buckler tournament fencing, which has been the focus there, not on any manuscript in say, but actually on tournaments. Takeaways. Anyone understand what is their takeaway? Or I try to summarize. That is a very good takeaway. What is one of the most important guards. The 45 angle buckler is also one of the key takeaways to be able to take those heavy thrusts and cuts, not getting a broken wrist or hand, and not getting a revolving door effect. This is one of the strongest guards there is. Getting up there. Any more takers?
A1.
Cut A1, yes. That is also just a normal Zornhau basically that you cut through, but people somehow forget it when they have a one-handed weapon that you can do Zornhau for some reason. I don't know why, but that's how it is. Do you have any more takeaways?
I noticed that you also do this guard sometimes when you do saber fencing.
Yep.
Which is like kind of surprising, but yeah.
Well, for us, there was in Saber, so as I said, like third guard, high third guard.
Yeah.
So this is that guard. The only difference is that I bring out my hand here, and that is because I do want to do the arm wrap to control and cut. That's only because now because I have people cutting through this because it's weak, so I have sometimes just braced, and I brace it with my fingers down like this. Instead of this, because I'm going to get cut in my fingers. This is going to also get cut in your fingers. This, if you cut me on my hand, it's much more protected than this. And especially if you have a lefty, drop the buckler. Works excellently in those crab gauntlets. Now, especially if you go up with this, and I have blocked, yeah, even with crab gauntlets, you don't have a problem. So again, you go forward, and you can now even grab my hilt. Grab the pommel. So those maneuvers works excellently in the crab, so that's why I basically teach it like that. So you're more in defense, so that's why I'm doing this. Right, does anyone more takeaways?
Fun.
Confirming my own, the angle you have with the cross when you thrust.
Yeah.
It's a big difference. Just a little bit of change in the angle makes a big difference.
Yeah. 45 degrees. This angle of the cross, the thrusts, the forward motion, and this guard. So I will say based those are the 5 takeaways that are you start doing the basics. If you are doing those, you are going to go quite far.
What was the fifth? The last one? Oh,
So far down, and having the guard here, that's the two for the sword. For the buckler, it's the 45 degrees and always parrying into the shoulder, and the fifth one is going up into that guard. There's the, well, you can say the sixth one that is always attacking on the guard, same as saber, that is attacking under the cover of the line. So, I think we are now gonna do some sparring.